Nani? Oh, and spoilers. Welcome to the channel, I'm Hayes, I talk movies all day, so subscribe right now if you want to be entertained. And today, I want to talk about The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, the 2006 sequel to probably the biggest movie ever made that was based on a magazine article. For real though, I just hope Ken Lee is sitting somewhere eating very well. But anyway, how this works is I'm going to go through the movie, point out all the reasons I can find as to why it's trash, and then at the end, drop a few final thoughts. So the movie starts off with a montage of a school, and I'm assuming it's supposed to be a high school, but I don't know, some of these guys look like they should have graduated 20 years ago. And why does this guy look like he's only there as an excuse to not have to babysit the grandkids? You know, when I saw this, my first thought was, how are you gonna just turn a blind eye to someone getting bullied? But to be fair, Sean looks like he's just 2 days away from retirement and doesn't want to do anything that's gonna screw up his pension, so I get it.
Nice ride.
Does the job.
What job? Delivering pizzas?
It's not the ride, it's the rider.
Yeah, that's true. It is indeed the rider that delivers the pizzas. I'm glad they were clear on that. But anyway, first of all, this girl belongs to the streets. Let's be clear on that fact as well. And B, isn't that the dude from Home Improvement? Imagine being raised by the tool man and still turning out to be a delinquent. Actually, to be fair, that kind of makes sense. That tire is smoother than Idris Elba. There is no way it's road legal. But here's the thing. So far they've portrayed Sean as someone who's from a, shall we say, less than privileged background. But this looks like the kind of place that doesn't let the kids from 8 Mile in. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying, perhaps they should be telling that story instead. Okay, so where did that spanner come from? Because he definitely did not have it when he was getting out of the car. Also, how is the spanner moving so smoothly? He ain't got no sleeves or anything, so the moment he releases his grip, that's gonna drop, not slide. Also, I get that these jock types just act tough, but come on. It's 5 against 1. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if your girl is willing to put herself up as collateral in an illegal street race, she ain't your girl. Nah, for real though, this song actually went hard back in the day. Anyway, I'd have to assume they had a pre-agreed route, which would make what Sean did right there cheating. Or did they previously agree that they're allowed to take shortcuts? Because if that's the case, then Clay had plenty of opportunities to take some himself, so why didn't he? Are you dumb?
I thought you loved me.
Mate, if you don't kick this bitch out your car right now. Now, I ain't no scientist or whatever, but are we really supposed to believe that Sean was not only able to drive a car with balls tires at high speed and isn't already dead, but also crashed through that house structure with enough momentum to catch up with Clay? Really? You know, I was about to say, Sean died in this scene, but then I saw the Tabasco sauce, and I can totally believe that and that alone is what saved Sean's life. But for real though, there's no way you're in that kind of crash and the next scene you're in a police station. I mean, I know they committed a crime, but surely hospital first, right? Furthermore, why is this dude slouching like his back ain't all mash up? So this guy pretty much just admitted that the justice system is corrupted. Now that's not hard to believe, but why is he okay with that? I mean, what happens in a man's life to make him want to become a police officer, see all the Ken and Barbies getting away with it, and instead of fighting the system, decide to help the system continue to be broken? Because maybe they should be telling that story instead.
You're done. You understand? You're done. And all before you're 18, 13.
Before his what? This guy's supposed to be 17? Nah, dude looked more like 71. Oh, I think I know how Sean got into that school. Mama be working 2 jobs. You know what I'm saying? Hold up, ain't this the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air story? But instead of a basketball court, it's a racetrack. Instead of one little fight, it was a pretty major car crash. And now being sent away to live with a relative in a completely different culture. Plus, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume these guys are drinking champagne out of an orange juice cup. Also, this guy, he looks like he bought a ticket thinking he was gonna have a chance with the girl, only to find out this guy has more riz. But for real though, they introduced Sean's dad by having him kick a distraught prostitute out his house. Like, what happened? Is she upset because she was having such a good time and didn't want to leave? Or is it because now she has to go back to her pimp and tell him she still ain't got his money? I'm just saying, maybe they should be telling that story instead.
Real simple. You go to school, you come back here right after.
Ain't this the Boys in the Hood story? Kid keeps getting into trouble, mum can't take this shit no more and sends him to go live with his dad. Only thing this needs now is someone to point a gun at Sean and his best friend to die in the end.
Like Michael Jordan? I love Michael Jordan.
Of course. everybody wants to be like Mike. Here's the thing though, they introduced Twinkie like he's the Del Boy type, but his sales skills are garbage. Dude went from half off to 60% with zero hesitation. There's no way this kid is making any money. Can't lie though, that is a cool looking car. But I'm also thinking it would have been more appropriate to decorate it with Bruce Banner instead.
So where are you from anyway?
Here.
No, I mean, not where you live. Where'd you come from?
Did they really just have this white guy fly out to a whole nother country to ask this girl where she's from and then reject the answer? Are you mad? Also, what are the odds that Sean gets sent away so they can keep him away from racing cars, just to go to a school where the first two people he meets properly just so happen to be involved in the illegal street racing scene? Really? You know that picture with the two faces opposite each other but it looks like a vase? It's kinda like that, except one of the vases is broken. Anyway, I get that DK is supposed to be the bad guy because, you know, of course. But this guy ain't even been in the movie 5 minutes and he's already a bitch. Not only did he get jealous that his girlfriend was talking to another man, dude had to put up with his whole goon squads just to show dominance. Nah, that's a bitch move. Talking about, you're lucky I have to race. How exactly? Everything here is in DK's favor and he's still getting punked out by some guy who had to repeat the 12th grade 36 times. Nah, DK is not a threat. Okay, so I ain't no illegal street racing motor car aficionado or nothing, but if that car really is the Mona Lisa of the drift world, it would mean that it's one of a kind and cannot be replaced. The type of thing you wouldn't let some delinquent you don't even know drive. Not unless Han is a complete and utter idiot, or Han just doesn't care at all for material things. And considering he is involved with illegal street racing and hangs out with Yakuza, I'd have to assume he at least cares a little bit for material things, so... Anyway, I doubt the car is the Mona Lisa of the drift world. If anything, it's probably more like the NFT monkey of the drift world. Costs a lot, but has no actual value. I count exactly 2 cars racing. One of them is Sean, the other is DK. So, where's the third car? Who was DK supposed to be racing before Sean showed up? Because somebody was supposed to race DK, and that person probably turned up, prepared, ready to race, just to be bumped for some gaijin because Han wants to see what the kid's got. How does that person feel about it? Are they mad? Are they okay with it? These are the things I want to know. I mean, what if the person that got bumped was Slapjack from the last film, and now he still can't make his rent money? Anyway, it's no surprise that Sean can't drift. But seriously, why don't anyone stop him before he kills someone? This guy has no control over the car right now. So, did nobody think a grown man hanging outside a school is creepy enough to call the police for? Anyway, Han sent Sean into the sauna to get his money from Paul. When Sean spoke to Paul, Sean just had a towel on and Paul may or may not have been completely naked. But when it cuts to Sean getting thrown out twice, both Sean and Paul are dressed. Does that seem odd to you? Because that seems odd to me. Like, did they both agree to get dressed then fight? And since Paul was gonna give Han his money with no argument anyway, why are they fighting? Now, I ain't familiar with Japanese road laws, but that looks like a place you're not supposed to be parking in. But if it is, then park straight. You already smashed up one of Han's cars, you're trying to get him a parking fine too? Anyway, when DK confronts Han about his shipment being late and Han blows it off like it's no big deal, that's a red flag. Now, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if anyone ever belittles your concerns over their breaking of a previously agreed arrangement, suspect them of everything.
You're an army brat who moved around a lot. Your mom and daddy was never home, so you walked around pissed off all the time.
Did they really have this white guy fly out to a whole nother country and assume Neela's life to be some tragic daddy issue story because she doesn't want him hanging around her boyfriend? Bro, maybe she just don't like you.
Police cars here only factory tuned. You can do better than 180K, they can't catch you. So they don't even try.
So I did a little armchair research on this and it turns out that was possibly kinda true. Apparently there was an unofficial agreement between the police and the Midnight Club street racers where the police wouldn't intervene with their street racing activities. However, the Midnight Club disbanded in 1999. This is 2006, so any agreement that may or may not have existed would have ended long before this. Plus, these guys aren't Midnight Club members anyway. So, to sum it all up,
That was a fucking lie.
Keep your hands off the kid, girls. He's underage.
I mean, to be fair, I can see how you'd mistake him for someone much, much older. But when they find out Sean is a minor, the fact they don't take their hands off him immediately, nah, you all the way wrong for that. And what's Twinkie doing there, bragging about getting molested? Yes, let us be clear, he is a child.
You're representing me now.
What you think? I'm gonna let you roll in a Hyundai?
You know, at this point, I'm pretty convinced Han is running a sex trafficking ring and is just grooming Sean. Let's recap. He gave Sean his Mona Lisa car to race against a seasoned drift racer and nephew of a Yakuza crime boss. Even if Sean won that race, there's no way it ends well for him. But after Sean inevitably smashes up the car, Han then turns up at his school, gets him to collect a debt, takes him to a crime meeting, encourages him to break road speed limits, takes him to a pedophile sex party, and then gives him a car, even though Sean still apparently owes Han a car for breaking the one he never asked to borrow. Does that sound like a well-adjusted person to you? Furthermore, there ain't nothing wrong with driving a Hyundai. They make good cars. Now, I ain't no legal street racing expert or nothing, but if you're learning to drift, maybe start out in a place with no obstacles. Just saying. Also, why is the guy from the pedo party there? Like, who is he? Matter of fact, why are the two mechanics that Neela refused to listen to earlier there? Like, who are they? As far as the movie's shown so far, these three people have only basic connection with Han and almost zero connection with Sean. So they just turn up for what exactly? To complain about someone who can't drift not being able to drift? By the way, here's something pretty cool. This guy is Keiichi Tsuchiya. He's a former race car driver that actually started out as a street racer and is known as the real-life Drift King.
Sean!
Wait, hold up. So these guys go to the same school as Sean, and DK's sidekick, Diddy Kong, goes to that same school as well? They all go to the same school, and they're all involved in the illegal street race scene? Man, what are the odds? Anyway, if Twinkie don't want Sean's help, then you need to take karate lessons or something, cause dude, you were getting all your asses kicked like it wasn't even funny, mate.
Sorry about the other night. Your life isn't any of my business.
It's okay.
See, and all it took was to risk his own safety getting involved with Twinkie's business to show Neela how sorry he is for trying to risk his own safety getting involved with her business. Okay, I've gotta be fair, I can definitely respect that as a reason for letting someone borrow your expensive car. However, Han clearly isn't just going around offering every stranger he meets a rare and expensive car to go race with. So what was so special about Sean? Was it that he was willing to stand up to DK? Maybe, but bear in mind Sean didn't know who DK was, so that was more out of ignorance and maybe a little arrogance rather than bravery. Nah, bottom line is Han knowingly puts a minor in a position where he would be risking his life and then used it as leverage to bring him into his criminal underworld. So what does that say about Han's character? Well, I'm just saying, it's no surprise that in the next couple of scenes, Han is getting an amateur child racer to drift on a mountain and then letting him stay at his place without even attempting to get parental permission.
My mom died when I was 10. And all I know about her is that she went to work in a hostess bar.
Well, my parents split up when I was 3.
Oh, you just had to make it all about you, didn't you? Mate, you were already the lead in this damn movie. You couldn't let the girl have one moment? Anyway, Neela said DK's grandmother took her in after her mother died. Now, I know they ain't like related, but, you know, they still close. You know what I mean? Also, where's her daddy at? Because that's a whole chunk of that story missing. Anyway, I feel like it's worth pointing out that Sean got his ass kicked by DK in front of everyone and no one said nothing. Not the two mechanics who all of a sudden are in every other scene, but so far we still haven't received a real explanation as to who they are or why they never seem to be doing any actual mechanic stuff. I mean, have they even mentioned their names yet? Not Twinkie, which, to be fair, makes sense. He already got his ass kicked by DK's underling. Though, in fairness, he at least sorta maybe kinda tried. Ish. But not even Han said anything. Han, who claims to be able to handle DK. Matter of fact, not only did Han not say anything, dude actually endorsed it. Now what was he saying again about knowing a man's character? Please. Han is a bitch. Oh, now they're doing mechanic stuff. Still don't know their names though. Anyway, turns out not only is Han a sex trafficker, he's a thief too. Actually, I guess that's how he got his name, because he has a Han in everything. Including that snack bag. Can't lie though, this chase scene is pretty sick. The drifting, the weaving in and out, the danger, and just the high stakes of it all. But I especially like how it has a very clear, definitive end with Han getting trapped inside the car with no way of escaping before the car explodes. Certainly not without being noticed because he was injured and pinned down pretty tight. So yeah, Han died in this scene, and quite frankly, good. One less creepy weirdo. Sean don't realize this now, but he just saved at least 50 $50,000 worth of therapy. So it actually makes sense why Sean would go to Kamata and challenge DK to a race, because so far he's been shown to be too stupid and arrogant to realize Twinkie's plan of just skipping town was already the much better idea. Furthermore, need I remind you that Han did nothing when you got your ass kicked by DK? Mate, you should have done what you did in America and just looked the other way. So yeah, it makes sense that Sean would go to Kamata and challenge DK to a race. Now, what doesn't make sense is Kamata agreeing. Dude got his money. Why does he care if Sean leaves town or not? Sean is not a threat. And if Sean ever did become a problem, ain't Kamata supposed to be Yakuza? That's an issue that could be solved real easy. Wait, did I miss something? Who are these two? They really just gonna introduce a couple of random people this late in the movie with no explanation? And we still don't even know the names of the mechanics yet. Or the guy from the pedo party, like who are these people, bro? Also, this guy doesn't seem to have many lines, but I swear 90% of what he said has been completely pointless. The cops to call the cars. Really? You had to speak to someone to figure that out? You couldn't just look around? Anyway, montage scenes in films are legit one of my favorite things. They didn't say how long Sean's dad was working on that car, but they kind of give the impression it's been a while. Yet all it took was a montage and here we are, all fixed up, shiny and brand new looking. So now Sean and DK race, and after much back and forth, a little cheekiness and skullduggery, Sean eventually wins. Because of course someone who just learned to drift a week ago is going to be better than a guy who's been doing it for a long time. And on a trail that only DK has made it through. Of course, Sean is going to be the better driver. Duh. But I feel like it's worth pointing out that after DK crashed, by some miracle he wasn't injured or pinned down inside the car and still needed help getting out. Yeah, Han is definitely dead, like dead, like kill confirmed dead. So the movie ends with Dominic Toretto showing up to race Sean, saying that Han was family, which I can totally believe, because Dom, he was a little on the creepy side in that first movie too. Alright, so before I get into my final thoughts, if you liked this movie, check out these movies. They're all movies with Americans in Japan, and even though The Last Samurai was loosely based on a true story and The Karate Kid 2 was a martial arts drama, I'm pretty sure Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 was the most believable. Alright, so let's talk about the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. So the first time I saw this movie, I did not like it much at all. It kind of just felt super unnecessary to me. But I gotta admit, over the years it's definitely grown on me. And I can appreciate the fact that although it links to the other movies, it's still very much its own thing separate from the rest. But what's interesting is that I was told by a car enthusiast that car enthusiasts really like Tokyo Drift. And after watching it again a few times now, I think I can see why. Because Sean is a gaijin, as he learns about the Tokyo street race culture, we learn along with him, so it feels like a small introduction to a much bigger world. Honestly, they probably could have, and perhaps even should have, made at least another 2 movies as direct sequels. Also, whereas The Fast and the Furious was really a family drama crime heist movie set in the street racing world, and Too Fast, Too Furious was an undercover cop movie with street racing as the backdrop, Tokyo Drift had a bit more focus on the street racing culture, with a few questionable characters as the backdrop. They made references to real-life Japanese street racing to show they did their research. It included a real-life Japanese street racer, and it had a cool way of getting technical without feeling like you need an engineering degree to understand what they're talking about. So yeah, although I didn't like this movie much on first viewing, I can definitely appreciate it now and can see why some people say this is the superior Fast and Furious film even to this day.
To this day! To this day!
Another thing I think is worth mentioning is it's kinda deceptively multi-layered. I mean, the film's about Sean being an outsider in Japan and trying to be a part of a world he knows almost nothing about. But the truth is, Sean was an outsider even in America. I mean, he pretty much said as much himself. But the early scenes really show how much Sean did not fit in and perhaps made no real attempts to. So when he gets to Japan, everything is different, but also nothing has changed at the same time. Now, with the possible exception of the 2 mechanics, who were, to be fair, minor characters in the story, everyone who helps Sean is also an outsider, or at least was an outsider. It's not mentioned where Twink is from, but I think it's a reasonable assumption that he's, you know, not from around here. because he said he's an army brat. It's not mentioned where Han is from either, but he did say Japan is his Mexico. Even the love interest Neela had Australian heritage, while all the bad guys were, as far as we know, homegrown Japanese. And in the end, Sean beats DK with a card that was American on the outside, but Japanese on the inside, showing how when different cultures work together we can achieve great things. Even Command to Let Them Go was shot as some kind of acknowledgement of Sean no longer being seen as just another gaijin. The point is, there is an underlying message about unity and cultural integration being a better pathway than being homogenous and insular, and I can appreciate that message, especially in a film where on the surface can seem like just another cash cow dumb action movie, which, to be fair, in many ways it is, and perhaps because it's presented that way it didn't get the critical acclaim it could have otherwise got. But if you can look past the flashy spectacle and the seemingly awkward choice of a hillbilly and a rapper teaming up for something that isn't a comedy, I think you might be pleasantly surprised that this film actually has some depth. But Han is definitely dead. Like, we need to be clear on that. Han is most definitely dead. But that's what I think of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. What do you think of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift? Let me know down below, and while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a suggestion if you don't mind.